The receptionist looked at my application, then looked back at me. You have 2 engineering degrees. I do. You managed construction projects worth over $300 million. I did. She frowned. And today you're applying to clean floors? I smiled. I just need a job. She didn't ask another question, maybe because she noticed the little girl outside the window, wearing an oversized winter coat, drawing flowers in a notebook with a tiny blue pencil. My daughter. My whole world. The receptionist quietly carried my application upstairs. The billionaire CEO barely glanced at it. Until his eyes landed on my last name. The pen slipped from his fingers. His coffee spilled across the desk. Every executive stopped talking. The CEO stood so fast. His chair slammed into the wall. His voice shook. Bring him to my office. Now. None of them knew. A janitor's application was about to reopen a promise buried for 36 years. My name is Cassian ASHFORD. 6 months before that day, I had everything. A loving wife, a beautiful 8-year-old daughter named Leora, a successful career managing large construction projects. Then leukemia stole my wife. Hospital bills swallowed our savings. The bank took our house. Every interview ended the same way. We're sorry, you're overqualified. Eventually, overqualified became unemployed. Unemployed became homeless. Every night, Leora and I slept inside my old pickup truck behind a small church. I always let her sleep on the back seat. I stayed awake in the front, pretending I wasn't cold. Every morning she asked the same question. Daddy, are we going home today? Every morning, I lied. Soon. That morning, I wasn't applying for a career. I was applying for breakfast.
Leora, he's just going up. It'll be a moment. No problem. This hot chocolate is great. Thank you.
The CEO stood beside the window overlooking snowy Manhattan. Without turning around, he asked, How old are you? 36. What was your father's name? I frowned. Orion Ashford. The room became silent. He slowly turned around. His eyes were filled with tears. I've spent half my life searching for you. I almost laughed. My father abandoned us. The billionaire slowly shook his head. No, he saved you. He opened an old wooden chest. Inside were photographs, letters, blueprints, newspaper articles. Every one of them included the same man, Orion Ashford, my business partner, my best friend, the man who helped build this company. His name was Alaric Voss. 37 years earlier, they had started a tiny construction business with 1 truck and 2 borrowed toolboxes. Orion designed impossible structures. Alaric convinced investors to believe in them. Together, they became unstoppable. Until organized criminals demanded fake safety reports on a massive bridge project. Orion refused. Days later, his car exploded. Everyone believed he died, except Alaric. There was never a body. Before disappearing, Orion left 1 sealed envelope. Inside, only 1 sentence. If anything happens to me, protect my family. Alaric searched for us for decades. Private investigators, missing person records, hospital databases, every lead disappeared. My mother had spent years moving from town to town, afraid the same people who hunted my father would find us. She died before she ever told me the truth. Alaric asked quietly, Where are you living? I hesitated. My daughter and I sleep in our truck. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were wet. No child connected to Orion Ashford should ever wonder where she is sleeping. He pushed a folder toward me. Vice President of Field Operations, salary, company apartment, car, everything. I closed the folder. I cannot accept that. He looked surprised. I have not earned it. For the first time that day, he smiled. You sound exactly like your father. The next morning, I reported for janitor duty. People laughed. That is the CEO's charity case, the genius janitor. Some intentionally dropped coffee, others tracked mud across freshly cleaned floors. I never argued. Every paycheck meant Leora finally had a real bed. That mattered more than pride. 3 weeks later, everything changed. A water main burst beneath one of the company's biggest construction sites. One evening, she looked around our tiny apartment. She whispered, "Daddy, can we unpack this time?" I could not answer. I simply hugged her. The foundation began shifting. Heavy cranes leaned dangerously. Millions of dollars were at risk. Engineers shouted over one another. I quietly studied the emergency blueprints lying on a table. Then I picked up a marker. "Redirect the pressure here," the chief engineer scoffed. "Who asked the janitor?" Alaric calmly replied, "I did." The room followed my plan. 4 hours later, the structure stabilized. Expected losses dropped from nearly $50 million to less than $2 million. The same people who mocked me that morning were now asking for my opinion. Not everyone was happy. The COO, Victor Hale, believed Alaric was preparing me to replace him. He secretly altered financial records, hoping to blame me. But Victor made one mistake. He forgot I had managed projects for years. I noticed invoices that did not match completed work, materials billed twice, equipment that never existed. I quietly collected every document. Instead of accusing him, I handed everything to Alaric. During the next board meeting, Victor confidently demanded my dismissal. Alaric smiled, then projected the evidence onto the giant conference screen. The room fell silent. Victor resigned before security even reached him. Victor walked toward the boardroom door. His hand had barely touched the handle when 2 federal investigators stepped inside. One of them spoke calmly. "Mr. Hale, we'll need a few more minutes." Victor froze. The investigators placed another folder on the conference table. It wasn't mine. It wasn't Alaric's. It came from the company's outside auditors. Over the previous year, Victor hadn't just manipulated invoices, he had approved cheaper concrete for 3 public bridge projects. The savings had quietly disappeared into shell companies. One bridge had already begun showing structural cracks. The room became silent. Alaric looked at Victor, not with anger, but disappointment. "You risked thousands of lives for money." Victor lowered his head. Security escorted him away. No one applauded. Some victories don't deserve celebration. The investigation lasted for months. Every project Victor had supervised was inspected again. I volunteered to help. Not because it was my job, but because families would someday drive across those bridges. That responsibility mattered. Many nights. I didn't get home until after midnight, yet every morning. Leora still waited by the apartment window. The moment she saw my truck, she smiled. One evening she asked, "Daddy, are we rich now?" I laughed softly. "No, we're safe." She smiled even bigger. "I like safe better." Winter grew colder. Snow buried Manhattan beneath thick white blankets. One afternoon, Alaric invited me onto the roof of headquarters. The skyline stretched endlessly beneath gray clouds. He handed me a faded photograph. It showed 2 young men, covered in concrete dust, standing beside an old pickup truck. One was Orion, the other was Alaric. They were only 25. They believed honest work could build anything. He smiled sadly. "We were wrong." I looked at him. "We built buildings." He nodded. "But your father built something bigger." "What?" "My conscience."
A week later, this very cafeteria became a symbol of our shared success. Thank you all for being here.
Janitors, electricians, engineers, receptionists, managers, construction crews, everyone. Alaric walked onto the stage. He didn't begin with profits or stock prices. He held up my original janitor application. "This piece of paper saved our company," he continued. I almost hired the most qualified engineer in the country and to clean floors. A few nervous laughs spread through the room. But the remarkable part isn't that he accepted, it's why. He looked directly at me. He wasn't chasing a title. He was trying to feed his daughter. The room became completely silent. I've spent decades searching for a great leader. I finally found one, holding a mop.
For the first time in my life, hundreds of people stood and applauded me. Not because I was related to Orion.
Not because Alaric believed in me, because they had watched me earn it. The following Monday, Alaric invited me back to his office. He slid the vice president folder across the desk again. I hope your answer has changed. I looked at it, then back at him. It has, I'll accept, but on one condition. He raised an eyebrow. The janitorial staff gets the same healthcare plan as every executive. Alaric smiled immediately. Done. And the scholarship program, I added, for employees' children, especially those who can't afford college. He extended his hand. Done. I shook it, not as a billionaire's protege, but as a partner. Months passed. The company grew stronger than ever. People stopped calling me the genius janitor. They started calling me something else. The boss who remembers. One snowy Saturday, Leora and I drove to the small church parking lot, where we'd once slept in our truck. The old pickup was gone. The pastor still recognized us. He smiled warmly. I wondered when you'd come back. I handed him the truck's title. I had it repaired. It still runs. He looked confused. For who? The next family. That needs a place to sleep. He hugged me without saying a word. Spring was still months away. As Leora climbed into our car, she looked at the church one last time. Daddy. We're not going back there, are we? I smiled. No, but someone else might. And when they do, I hope they find the same kindness we did. She slipped her hand into mine. I think Mom would be proud. I simply looked toward the gray winter sky. I think she already is. 1 year later. Alaric officially retired. The board unanimously elected me Chief Executive Officer. Reporters asked the obvious question. What's the first thing you'll change? I smiled. The interview process. They laughed. I didn't. Because somewhere, another parent was probably hiding 2 engineering degrees just to get someone to read their application. No one in my company would ever have to do that again. Sometimes, the person asking for the smallest job is carrying the biggest story. And sometimes, all it takes to change 2 lives is one application that someone chooses to read.